On this episode of AV Week, we talk about the Samsung Harman deal. The $8 billion deal is done, what that means for the AV industry. InfoComm, the show, has a brand new offering called Center Stage. We talk about that and where we are in the world of video walls. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AV Week is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like FSR, and by Audio. This is AV Week, episode 290, recorded Friday, March 17th, 2017. The Cloud.
Ready.
AV Week.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AV Week. AV Week. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to talk about said news and information, first and foremost, my favorite Irish leprechaun, his name is John Green. Not making that up on this fabulous St. Patrick's Day. Didn't even plan it that way, actually. I'm not that smart. He's from Advanced AV. Top of the morning to you, sir.
It's an afternoon, but it's just as well. It's the top, it's the bottom. We're here.
How are you?
Great. Actually, pretty good. We did celebrate St. Patty's today, dressed as a leprechaun, and I get to get into the outfit again. But we're doing it for a charity, so I'm actually pretty excited. And, you know, everybody smiles at a leprechaun. That's all.
Because they're funny looking, John.
I'm just telling you. It's just,
they're funny.
Because in the morning I was working, normally, and people were miserable because I'm the boss. But when you come out of your office dressed as a leprechaun, everybody smiles. I think I'm going to get a little extra out of them today.
You should dress up as a leprechaun next week and see how it plays out. So, also, this is my buddy Julio Carrasco from H323HD. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Doing well. If after the end of this, but I'll say it now too. If you want to see more of Julio's beautiful face and his more importantly his talents, you can check out his app. Our show AV Apps actually reviewed it a couple weeks ago, and it's a pretty cool thing. I've been looking at it for over a year now. I think it was last year. InfoComm, you were showing it to me. So
yeah.
All right, let's get on with the news and information. First and foremost. Last week, actually 1 week ago, as we were on the air, as luck would have it, Samsung announced that they had completed their purchase of Harman. Now, this is not new. The purchase part is the news. The fact that Samsung bought Harman is not news. But the fact that they have completed this purchase is absolutely news. $8 billion. A lot of smart people smarter than me, have said, primarily this is about the connected car system. But one thing I want to point out here, Samsung's chief strategy officer said, quote unquote, bringing together Harman's iconic audio brands and capabilities paired with Samsung's leading display technologies will deliver enhanced audio and video experiences to consumers and professional end markets. I want to focus on that professional end markets part. Back in November when this happened, there was an awful lot of hand-wringing outside of Samsung and Harman, but people in the industry who said that, this may be the end of Harman. They may piece and parcel them out, which they still may. And let's be frank about that. It's a business, and the bottom line is still the bottom line. But the fact that the head of Samsung, but one of the people that is up there at Samsung and the person that they're quoting in their press release calls out the commercial part, I think is important. John, first and foremost, what do we see as the strengths of this deal?
Well, I think, I guess my initial reaction in reading that press release and trying to get my head wrapped around it is just a continuation of technology from the home to the car to the office. I I think it's a little disjointed right now. I think that we all experience some of that pleasure of, hello, you talk to your Google fires up your coffee maker, you drink your coffee, you get in your car, you connect via your iPhone, and then you get to work, and then you try to go to a conference room and get that to light up to have your meeting. I think that an organization like Samsung with the technical chops and capabilities of a Harman can make a complete weave out of that and make it just a continuous experience. I think that's where it's going. I think that it's going to be transparent where you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. You're going to be on 24/7, and you're probably going to be in a meeting.
Well, one thing is, I'm writing an article for one of the magazines, and I was talking with somebody from Waveguide, and they were talking about a similar thing with the voice control and this, that, and the other.
Yep.
The Ford this year at CES announced the start of this. It's not quite ready for prime time yet, but they talked about Alexa integration.
Yep.
In the Ford ecosystem, in the infotainment system there. So you're probably you're not very far off.
Yeah, it's always a guess as to when it's going to happen. But again, you look at the strength of a Samsung and its global reach and its engineering chops and its marketing. I mean, it can market this concept. That's the idea is that if this is going to work, they're going to have to market a different way to approach life.
Well, and here's the other thing. One thing that not a whole lot of people realize or are talking about, not just Samsung's engineering chops. About a year or so ago, I guess about 2 years ago, Harman picked up a 10,000 member engineering firm. These are not silly people. These are people who helped write some of the kernels for Android. Not the Samsung. I understand what I'm saying. This is not from Samsung side. This is from the Harman side. So Harman has in their employ an entire group, 10,000, engineers is not something to shake a stick at. 10,000 engineers that are pretty robust in their own right. And now you've got Samsung has access to that group of folks as well. So it may very well be a very, very powerful force to deal with over the next couple of years. So, Julio, totally opposite side of this. What is this from the negative side? I guess what are some of the weaknesses we see as part of this deal?
I mean, I want to know how they're going to get this done, right? I got the same thing reading it, that it's all going to be from home to your phone to your car, and it's going to be seamless. Question is how they're going to do this, how they're going to get this done, the time frame. Are they going to start infringing on people's devices and all this other stuff that everybody's afraid of? Security and all this other stuff. Harman's basically in almost every car nowadays. So
one other thing that I thought that this relationship would bring because of the size of the organization is, and I'm going to use the word, I hate to use it, but a standardization.
Yeah.
That's not a bad, hang on. That's not a bad word, John.
Well, again, and I think that's what's going to be the success. I think that, again, a long time ago, they decided it's going to have four wheels on it. It's going to have a steering wheel. And it's going to be powered by gas. And that was decided because there was one large organization, history-wise, let's say Ford made that call. Samsung could step into that position and say, listen, let's all stop being silly and say, here's the framework of which we're all going to make money off of. You could take different shapes and sizes. You could have bigger tires. You could have smaller cars. You could have different color cars. That's where I think it's going to go. And I think that Samsung and combined with the engineers of Harman have the ability to deliver that to us.
Do you think do you think Samsung then is, especially now, is the company and is the size of the company to do that? Because here's the reason I say that. They're uniquely positioned now that they have Harman. Not that Samsung wasn't in the commercial space. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because they were definitely in the commercial space, but not to the extent that they are now. They are not Apple, right? They are not Google. They are not Microsoft even. You've got a company now that has an entire catalog of products that are part and parcel of an awful lot of really big systems at some really big companies. If you go to an airport or a large venue, I should say large venue more than airports, but you go to a large venue, you go to an auditorium, you go to a sports arena, you go to, other places where you can, ride rides and things of that nature. You're going to be running into Harman products. So that's one side. And these are organizations that are already standardizing because they're large organizations. And you have Samsung coming in and saying, okay, here's some other ways. They're possibly in a position to start, like John said, saying this is how we're all going to standardize. This is how we're all going to make money. And the people who are under them as far as revenue and size and stuff like that can either follow suit or try to buck the system and maybe not win.
My only add to that is that you had mentioned they have 10,000 engineers. And what I'm always amazed at is finding out who's dating who and how they got together. So if they've got 10,000 engineers, those 10,000 engineers probably know 10,000 engineers at different companies. And they're probably bringing together partnerships and relationships that will, 6 months from now, will go, how'd that happen? So I think that I don't think it's the size of the company, while it does have an impact on it because you have to have money to do this. I do think that the network that they're putting together and the relationships they have globally will position them very strongly.
Yeah,
I also think that by acquiring Harman, they're now up there with the big players like Apple.
Certainly in revenue.
They're very innovative with their stuff. They come out with these things, they get them patent, let everybody else come out with it, and then they perfect it after everybody has all these issues. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna play in that ball field now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move along to something that may very well impact Samsung and Harman, and that is InfoComm 2017 coming up here in just about 3 months, actually. Today is the 17th, so 3 months from right now we'll be packing up.
Pretty close.
This is from our friends over at AV Magazine. InfoComm announced the debut of their center stage at InfoComm, and I've talked with the person who's putting this together. It's very interesting. InfoComm came up with the idea to do a TED Talk-like event. Some of the things that they're doing is some of the topics that they're doing, things like programming, healthcare, capture and streaming, digital signage, virtual reality, augmented reality. And these are 15, 20-minute talks, kind of, one comes up, does their thing, and gets down, and another one starts a few minutes afterwards. Julio, from your standpoint and as an attendee and stuff, what do you make of these new offerings from InfoComm specifically, but also these TED Talk like events?
I mean, these are things that they send out surveys, right? And they asked all these attendees, "Hey, what would you like to see?" I think that's going to be real good. I think they're going to get a lot of people going to those talks. It seems like they got great topics. Me, myself, I'm interested to see the future of programming.
Mm-hmm.
I think, me personally, that's fading away.
It's going to the cloud, Julio.
I don't know, because you got people like Extron, you got people like Cisco,
cloud,
and even
Julio.
Polycom.
Cloud.
That are coming out with their own touch panels with APIs.
Cloud.
I don't know. Cloud still has a hard time trying to get off the ground.
Cloud. Repeat after me. Cloud.
I agree with you to some extent.
I at least got you to agree with me.
To an extent.
All right.
You need to simulate a little bit better and a little bit faster on this cloud thing.
Well, no, and I agree with Julio on the
Sure.
the future of programming thing, because as a former programmer, that's still, my heart's still there. So
I got to tell you, I saw this article, and first off, I subscribed to AV Magazine. I was surprised that I didn't. What a great article! What a great catch! We look at every trade show, just to be fair and say, is it relevant to our lives? And InfoComm, they're probably going to get 1,000 emails because it's started to slide into a little bit of irrelevance. And I think that them putting this together puts them into a different light completely in my approach towards who's going to go to this every single one of these topics are off center to what AV does, touches us in some form or fashion, and we should be aware of. So kudos to InfoComm. Let's get to the yay, good job, and great article from the magazine. Absolutely wonderful.
Real quick question, John, and Julio, jump in on this if you want. When it comes to things like this, right? Whether it's center stage type things at ISE, they have these not pop-up trainings, but they're trainings kind of in the corners of the arenas or of the halls, where anybody can come in and out and do their thing. Don't offer RUs, renewal units for InfoComm CTS, but they're just there as free education. When it comes to you and your team, John, would you rather have these types of events, or would you rather send your folks, send your team to more, not official training, but more scheduled and regulated classes?
I think that the manufacturers and provide a good service throughout the year for training and the ability to tie renewal units to this type of thing. I want to go to trade shows, and I want to send my trade shows. I'd like people to trade shows to find out stuff that they don't know about, that stuff that is going to hit them, and they've been blind to. And I got to tell you, we literally just launched our own AR VR solution just yesterday. And
what's it called?
Oh, well, it's we got a little VR goggle, and we can do fly throughs for our installs and some of our design work. So we got little Google boxes that we hand out to show everybody. And the response to, I showed two different audiences. I showed a young college audience that went absolutely nuts, and I showed my account managers who were about my age. Are like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So they'll be going to the interface on your face session at InfoComm. That's what I'm looking for from a trade show. I think to give us some information about things that we don't see coming at us. All
right, guys, last one here, and we'll let you get out of here. The one thing that's interesting about what we've done, at least at AVNation, is somebody will say, "Hey, Tim, you should go here," and I'll go hang out and see what it's like. The 2 years ago now, I was blessed to go hang out with the guys at Daily Do down in New York for about a week. It's something called New York Digital Signage Week. This past fall, Mr. Green and Marina Gregory from Advanced AV hung out with me for a couple of days down there. So that's kind of where I want to ask you guys about this. Planar, and this is from our friends over at AV Network and SCN. Planar and Layard have announced this new product line, and it's 1.7 millimeter, quote unquote, seamless or nearly seamless LCD video wall. John, for you, and again, because you got to hang out, I got to hang out with you at New York Digital Signage Week, and it's something that you guys are looking at. When you look at a product like this, who are you guys selling these to? Who are you selling video walls to?
We're seeing the applications and the request for video walls in almost everything that we do.
Okay.
Changing out of screens in educational experiences. We were invited to do a project yesterday for a complete rework of a boardroom that they're using the term video wall like I use clinics or fridge. Yeah, we want a video wall. And, so any shape or size. So as it gets close to this type of deliverable, almost at any price, it's being asked for.
Now, how do they plan on using that in a conference room? I mean,
they are actually going to they're using it in their boardroom. They're going to replace, it's going to be their central focus.
Okay.
So they might have multiple displays of computers. Again, conferencing is probably not easy, but, with the right mixture, you can build it that way.
Right.
And the problem with it is that they're seeing these displays and they're seeing these walls everywhere, and they're using it like paint. I want a video wall. And then you might have to explain it, but the fact of the matter is that video walls is a real live application in every space that we talk about.
Interesting. Julio, from your standpoint, I want to bring you in on this. Talk for a second about I don't want nightmares about, unless you have them, which are cool. But installing these suckers, and then the long-term maintenance and the total cost of ownership for these things.
Well, that I've yet to install one.
Okay.
And have heard the nightmares and the hard work that goes behind these things. So as far as return on investment on that, I'm not sure. Not sure.
All right. Very good. Now, the one thing I was looking at this, and to John's point, there are a lot of folks who are looking at them as replacements for larger screen projections. Now, here's the thing with it. See, if you go,
question out of that is, can I have different sources on different monitors?
Well, yeah, you can. Obviously, if you get the right, get the right software and the right hardware to do that. But you've got a couple different options here. Obviously, depending on how big you want it, that there are certain things that there are certain limitations. Projection screens are going to be your most economical up to a point, until you start factoring in the brightness level, right? And then the question for John's clients and your clients, Julio, is, okay, at what point is the brightness more important than this cost savings, right? Because I can get a 100-inch single display. I mean, Panasonic makes one, Vizio makes one, Sony makes one. The cost is up there. The cost is actually up there even more than making a video wall that size, to be frank about it. But again, it's you are going to pay for that, and you're going to pay for that size. Flip that around and say, okay, well, for some folks that are more budget conscious than others, you go, okay, well, here's a screen, nice screen, and a nice screen is going to cost you, some dollars. And here's a nice bright projector. The problem is, unless you start getting into the range of the cost of a 100-inch screen, the brightness is not going to be there, right? So the trade-off between a single source or even a video wall source display versus a projector and a screen, there are trade-offs like with anything, right? You can pay for it, right? You can have it as bright as you want, but you're going to pay for it. So.
Exactly. And if you go projector, you're always going to be tied to always buying a bulb.
No, not necessarily. You got lasers now.
Right.
Yeah.
That is true.
Those have come a long way.
It still requires a real good conversation with the customer of exactly what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't take that responsibility, you're going to end up with a really bad situation. And the unfortunate thing is we've all experienced it as well, is that the customer is always right up to a point. We try to prove them at what point they cross over, but when they say, I want a video wall in my boardroom, okay.
John, if they've got enough money, they're always right. I'm just gonna put that out there.
You just got to make
for
it work.
all of my underwriters, you're always right if you got enough money. All right. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Julio, how do people get a hold of you? And your app?
Oh, my app, AV Mogul. It's you can download it from iOS, Apple Store, or Google Play. I'm on every social media, H323HD Inc., and you can reach us at our website, h323hd.com.
All right, very good. Mr. Green, happy St. Patrick's Day to you, sir.
Absolutely. Again, you can absolutely positively find me in my finest today. Obviously on Facebook on Advanced AV, and Twitter all over the place. So if you really want to see what real leprechauns look like, you want to hunt me down at jgreen6, SIX.
Just follow John and you're welcome.
Right.
All I'm going to say.
And we won't bring up the debutantes this time.
No, yes. I wasn't there. You can't prove I was there. There are no pictures proving that I was there. All right. My name is Tom Albright. At this point, you can follow me if you want, but I wouldn't suggest it on Twitter. It's TD Albright. But more importantly, go by our website, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Lots of great folks have put an awful lot of hard work into it, and there are some putting even more in now because sometime around the 1st of April, we're supposed to have a brand new site. It's going to give you all kinds of really cool things. Right now, I mean, we're a podcasting company that we do have blogs and stuff like that, but we're primarily podcasters. And one of the cool things that our new website's going to allow you to do is you can kind of create your own podcast feed. So if you want to listen to AV Week, but also Resi Week and which is our residential weekly show, and like EdTech, you can click the buttons and it's going to download. If you want to click on the thing that you want everything that we do, our specials and everything else, you click that button. And so it's a kind of a neat feature that we've got going on in the background. So I'm kind of excited about that. Other thing is, check out our underwriters. These are the folks, people like Advanced AV, that they give us money so we can keep doing what we're doing. So we appreciate them and ask that you support them. So yeah, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This has been AV Week.